There we go. Good evening, Bears. I realize I'm crossing the streams with Nimmer, but I cannot keep on doing these streams so late. Otherwise, I will not get enough sleep. I also didn't write as much as I wanted to, but I did manage to get that. Yeah. Welcome, John Boax. Whichever. So, yeah, I'm going to wait a little bit, see what the chat's saying. I'm going to I don't know what's good, really. Okay. I don't know if that's a good thing or not a good thing. Oh, my collar's crooked. Shit. Well. Let's, I never know how to get these things really started until we get started. I could start the reading over again, or I think you might be a troll, John Boax. Probably. Bears are pretty cool animals. I like them. On the one hand, they're huge, ferocious, and deadly, and on the other hand, if you put a fez on one, it's hilarious. Just picture in your mind, John, a large bear bearing down on you, about to rip you to shreds, and then imagine a fez on top of that image. Because fezzes are cool, and that would be hilarious. Be a pretty funny way to die. Well, yeah. And I've written quite... I don't know if we should start over or not. Usual people, I think, are still watching Nimmer's stream. The topic is... Right. John, the topic is the children's story that we've been writing for the past couple of streams. We had kind of a brainstorm stream. Then I read aloud the first part that I wrote, and I am undecided on whether it would be a good idea to read aloud the entire thing from the beginning, or to just start at where we left off. Just because I'm not entirely sure what the best way of going about it would be. The other thing that we could talk about, if not very many other people show up to bounce ideas off of or pitch ideas to me, is we could go ahead and talk about the kind of dude we want for Skyrim. But the problem is that's a Sunday thing, and it still has like 6 hours before it finishes downloading because my internet is terrible. So the options are as I have laid out. and it does look like you're the only dude. I could, well, and the other thing that I suggested was another thing that I wrote, another story for children, which I think is actually quite good. But that one's finished. I don't know if that would be a good idea or not. Now the thing about the story that we're writing is it is about yeah, I could go ahead and just start from the beginning. Now, if you're watching this later because you were at my earlier hangs and you're not the one dude in the chat who seems pretty cool, I did come up with a working title called Oso Grande Makes Everyone Happy, which kind of shows what a sick and twisted mind I have, since what we're talking about is how complying in order to gain social approval ultimately diminishes you. And I think what I'll do is I'll just start reading off from the beginning, and maybe more people will join, or maybe they won't. Either way. But one thing I just thought of doing is I can go ahead and retweet it again. Where are you? Oh no. Yeah. And I'll just retweet the YouTube link. Oh no, that's the Periscope link. But yeah, I think I'll go ahead and start with we're hoping to get an artist bear to illustrate this, possibly put a paragraph per page, and once I get it down, we're going to figure out what we can cut away. So now that I've got, at least, yeah, I've got a couple more dudes here, I'll start reading from the top, because starting in the middle of these kind of fables is weird. Far, far away in the deep dark woods, where the animals can talk to each other, there lived a big bear named Oso Grande. Now, Oso Grande was a kind, big bear with a big cave, and a big table with lots of room, and a big heart for lots of friends, or at least the critters who liked him. Among those critters were all sorts, because Oso Grande had a room in his big heart for just about everybody, from the wandering wolves to the little bunnies in their warrens, to the squirrels in their trees, and even for Donkey Jack and his loud braying. From the time he was a cub, Oso Grande loved playing games with the bunnies because they always came up with the biggest, best games, even though they were very small. Even though he and Donkey Jack hardly ever won those games because they always involved running and jumping, Oso Grande thought them the most fun in the deep dark woods. His friends weren't the only things that Oso Grande had room in his big heart. Only things that Oso Grande had room for in his big heart. There was plenty of room left over for salmon and honey, and how to get them. The salmon because it made him strong and healthy, and the honey because it just tasted so gosh darn good. To get the salmon, he'd fish the streams and tributaries, which was fun on its own, but even more fun if a friend like Donkey Jack happened along to have a chat while he did. Nobody knows if he liked the days when he brought a long stick strung with fish back to his cave better, or the days when all he brought back were the words of one of his many friends. Getting the honey was a bit of a different story, since the only way to get it was to climb the tallest trees in the deep dark woods and take a honeycomb from the beehives up there. The bees didn't much like it when he did that, but Oso Grande had such thick fur and skin that he hardly ever even felt a single sting. Unlike fishing, there were no days when Oso Grande set out for honey and came back without any, since the beehives were easy to find. Once he found one, he'd just climb up the tree no matter how tall, and if it was in a special spot, he'd get to enjoy the view that only the birds and squirrels usually see. Oso Grande was happy, Donkey Jack was happy, the squirrels were happy, the bunnies were happy, and everyone was happy. Except there was one thing. One day, when Oso Grande had just gotten himself a nice big chunk of honeycomb and had watched the most beautiful sunset he'd seen all day. Let's see how we like that one. A bunny, Brittany Keen-Ears, was standing at Oso Grande's cave with her bunny arms crossed and tapping her bunny foot, waiting for him. Oso Grande smiled a big, warm-hearted smile and gave her a happy greeting. "Hello, Brittany. Would you like a piece of honeycomb?" "It's not fair," she said with a voice as cross as her arms. "I am being completely monotone right now." Oso Grande was puzzled, since he knew that everyone liked honey a great deal. So he sat down cross-legged, so that he would just be a little bit closer to his friend, and asked, "What isn't fair? Is somebody picking on you?" Brittany rolled her eyes and sighed, as if Oso Grande was just a big dummy, and told him, "It's just not fair that you can get the honey when the rest of us can't even get close to the beehives." Oso Grande patted Brittany's little head and ruffled her ears a little and told her, "There are lots of things that just aren't fair. I can't make the bees not sting you. What I can do is give you some honey, since I love sharing with my friends. And can't you see how that's even more unfair? Don't I like sharing with my friends? How am I supposed to share with you when I can only get the honey from you?" Oso Grande was even more puzzled by these puzzling questions, since he knew that Brittany shared lots of things with him. "Well," he started, "you share blackberries with me, and I like those plenty, so let's call that even." "No, no. Everyone agrees we'd be happier if nobody could get the honey than if we had to get it from you." "Everyone?" "Everyone." Oso Grande was deeply troubled by this revelation, since he had all of the bunnies and many other critters besides in his big heart. He puzzled his puzzler over this puzzling puzzle for a good long while, and he just couldn't see how to make everyone happy and still get to eat his honey. So he handed his whole honeycomb over to Brittany and told her sorrowfully, "If it will make everyone happy, then I'll give up my honey, even though I like it terribly." For a long while, Oso Grande would go on long walks just to look at the beehives from the ground, and walk on until he found a big, tall tree without a beehive in it to climb up to the tippy top. There he'd think about how big the deep dark woods were, and how many critters lived there, and how much he wanted all of them to be happy. Then he wouldn't miss his honey all that much anymore. For some reason, though, Oso Grande didn't feel quite so big as he did before. A little while after Oso Grande's walks to climb trees without beehives became happy walks instead of sad ones, another bunny, Liam Hoppington, was waiting for Oso Grande at his cave with his bunny arms crossed and his bunny foot tapping. He had to wait a good long while for Oso Grande to amble along, with a long stick strung through the gills with 15 big salmon. Liam made himself look as angry as a bunny can look and said just as angrily, "It's just not fair, Oso Grande." Now, Oso Grande liked how well Liam played bunny ball, and was always glad to have him on his team. So seeing the bunny so far from happy that he was angry was a big bit of trouble. Because Oso Grande wanted everyone to be happy, he asked, "What isn't fair, Liam?" Liam glared at Oso Grande as if not knowing why he was mad was just as irritating as why he was mad, and said, "It's not fair that you're the only one who can fish." Oso Grande sat down on the ground so that he would be a little bit closer to his little friend, and said with a warm smile, "But I'm not the only one who can fish. Eagle Bob and William Wolf fish too." "Who cares about Eagle Bob and William Wolf? They're mean anyway. Do you want to be like the mean critters, Oso Grande?" Oso Grande found himself troubled, since he didn't think either of them to be mean critters, but he had a great deal of trust in Liam. In order to settle the conflict in his head, he asked, "What makes you say they're mean?" "They won't listen to bunnies at all." "Gosh, that does sound mean. And I don't want anybody to think I wouldn't listen. That's why I stopped getting honey." "That's why you did that? Well, thanks for listening to the bunny who told you." Oso Grande felt glad that he was appreciated, and thought that giving up honey wasn't so bad after all, and he said so. "It wasn't as hard as I thought it would be." Liam smiled crookedly, and said, "Well, since you listened once, you can listen again. And what I'm asking isn't that much more than what you did already." "Gosh, Liam, I do want to make you and all the bunnies and everyone happy, but I can't stop fishing because that's how I get my salmon." "That's the worst part," the little bunny bellowed. "We can't even eat the salmon if we could catch it in the first place." "I just don't see why it bothers you then." Liam was losing patience, if he ever had any, and he explained, "Look, we can't eat the salmon, and we can't catch the salmon, so it's a double whammy of can't. How do you think we feel saying you do something we just can't? Do you ever think we might want to fish if we could? No, you didn't. Everyone feels like we'd be better off if nobody fished than if it was just you. Good evening, Brian Askew." Oso Grande was deeply troubled by the thought that he was making everyone unhappy by catching salmon in the streams. But he also knew that salmon was one of the best things for him to eat. On the other hand, he had learned how to live without honey, so he could do the same thing with salmon. And the bear racked his brains so hard looking for an answer that Liam was afraid. "Oh, hello, B. West." That Liam was afraid. Where did it go? He might have broken it, but still he couldn't figure out a way for him to keep fishing for salmon and make everyone happy. Oso Grande sighed a big sigh from the bottom of his big heart. "Hey, Kiwi Bear!" From the bottom of his big heart, and said, "If it'll make everyone happy, I'll give up salmon." For some reason, Oso Grande felt a little bit smaller. And so that's the second instance I'm afraid that you guys came in just a little bit late. Is Nimmer still streaming? Is Eric Nimmer still streaming? Type in starvation for yes and genocide for no. Or just yes or no. This lag is something fierce. Oh, well, that explains the sudden jump. I just, I couldn't wait for him. I don't know what, Manyard means, Kiwi. Oh, I'm glad, yeah. I don't mind the interruptions. Oh, hey, Cannon Bear. I promise I have not burned down the weed farm down the street. Maynard James Keenan from Tool. Is that a band? Yeah, so the next thing for him to give up well, I don't know if they've been to Mammoth, California. How dark do I look right now? I just realized that the sun is going down. Oh, hi, Erwin. Is your tip feeling any better after getting circumcised? I know it hurts you awfully. So what I'm going to... No, I mean the light. The sun is going... I should probably turn on the light. It's dark in here. Oh, thank you, Brian. I don't know if you saw the new part, the second part yet, but it's another round of social shaming, but it shows just a little bit more, and I've got one more instance like this one for tree climbing, and then after that it's going to really ramp up. Because if you noticed in the last one in Honey, I say he didn't feel quite as big as he did before, but now I say he felt just a little bit smaller. And in the next one, I think I'm going to just go. For some reason, he felt a little smaller. Well, if you say so, Erwin. I mean, you're the expert with the missing tip. I need some tea because my throat is parched. Oh, that reminds me, I need to put Discord on this thing. I'll do it later, after I finish re-downloading Skyrim. I messed up by trying to download too many. That is a really good idea, B-West. I like that. The trees became just a touch taller for everyone who's not on YouTube. Well, I should hope they don't. Ooh, wow, this is going fast. Well, we have to figure out who's going to illustrate this first. Gabriel, I don't think that ordering starvation and genocide would be a very good idea. Oh, hello, Bicentennial Bear. 200 years is a good thing. Hello, Serio. Um, I'm going to skip away for just a second to turn on the light and pour something to drink because my throat is parched. All right. This time I'm showing off my loose leaf master race creds. Oh, yeah, I saw that on the Patreon. I recently became a Patreon because they took away my super fun super chats, which really annoyed me because super chats are so fun. Oh yeah, someone should tell them how to do that. Honey Badger Radio actually, I tweeted them and asked them how they do it, and they actually answered me, which was pretty sweet because they're kind of like, I'm just using an Acer out of the box. Do you mean Artling should be our illustrator? That would be pretty sweet. Not gonna lie. I think he's moving to. Hello, Quiet Bear. We are glad to have you. Only the Periscope tells you when someone joins, though. Yeah, I do use the script extender for Skyrim, obviously. It did take me a little while to grow, and I had to go through an awkward phase of having a really awful face. Hello, Chewberica. I know, it's one of my best ones. My first attempt at the Skyrim stream went horribly. I deleted it off of YouTube, but I don't think I can delete it off of Periscope. Yeah, hit like and bear share. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that bell if you want to not miss most of the stream, the first half. Yeah, I really admire that about them. Give me money. Yeah. So why should anyone have shame for asking for money in exchange for the content they provide? Jolly Roger Bear, are you some kind of commie? But yeah, I knew that they did multi-stream, and I don't know anyone else who does multi-stream, so I asked them, and they answered politely and promptly, which was very helpful. So, since I think most of you dudes are new, right? Did any of you see the previous stream where we went through the first part up to the point of introducing this Liam? Okay. Now we're going across. Oh, really? What mods are they, Serio? I am going to have to do a clean run, a clean install now because I tried to install the Civil War mod, but apparently my computer can't handle it. Well, I can see why someone might not be a fan of that, but they talk about stuff that no one else talks about, and that way I stay informed on some things. What do you do to the dragons, Serio? We want to know. We're very interested in dragons. Oh no, I don't have no Serio. I have an Acer desktop that I bought because my gaming rig is still bricked and I don't know how to fix it. Owen Benjicorn and Nimple Stiltskin. That sounds funny, but I don't know what it is. Erwin, I think you just like calling things that aren't soy. I don't know what Kumite thing is. I'm sorry. So, is Hartling? Are you Artling Bear? We're we're just well, Erwin is just bitchy because he got circumcised and his tip hurts. Kumite. Well, don't spell funny words. English is best language. Shut up. Which will be handy for you because I only do hour-long streams because otherwise I would stay up too late. Wow, Kiwi Bear, that is some real self-congratulatory stuff there, saying you're the most amazing bear in the land. Never mind that it's true, of course, but still. That is funny, Serio. English is best language. Internet. I just don't have time for internet blood sports, really. They happen to discover more news than that kind of flies under most people's radar because they, you know, care about men, which is nice. It's nice to be cared about. Oh, yeah, Artling is pretty awesome too. I Two bears enter, one bear leaves. Bear Dome. Yeah. When you arrive in California, it's just really easy to do all of the Asian accents. Yeah. That lag is something fierce, because now Kiwi's laughing at my Bearderdome joke. um, Hoss. Hoss. Well, it's sort of like an informal, way to call somebody, like dude, except it's more Southern American, usually in the Southwest, like Texas and Arizona. Um, sure, the Gangnam Style dude looks like Kim Jong Un, and it makes me want to shoot him. There you go. Your mind's changed. Wow. Yeah. Artling and Kiwi are going to have a compliment fight, which is hilarious. I just find the idea of a compliment fight to be, just. Well, that's because, yeah, all fat Koreans look like Kim Jong Un because there are only two fat Koreans, Jolly Roger Bear. Did you ever think of that? Maybe Psy is really Kim Jong Un's like evil clone. Didn't think of that, did you, Jolly Roger Bear? All right. So, no, I'm saying that there are only two fat Koreans. What's Clips be saying? I don't know I don't know what they're saying. Yeah. I will. Serio. Go ahead and when this is over. That's right, Kiwi Bear. Shampoo is better than conditioner. Because it gets your hair clean. And conditioner is just the cosmetic companies tricking you into buying stuff. In fact, you should just buy the one from Trader Joe's. It's all three. Just a 3-in-1 thing. Big old jug. For $8. It's great. Alright. So the next thing in our story about social compliance, about compliance for approval, I think. What do you think? Should we have a conversation with Donkey Jack? Well, that's because you're a painter, arting bear. It's yeah. Well, Jolly Roger Bear, I lived in the desert for so long that dry dirt just rubs me the wrong way. So I can't just rub myself in dry dirt. But yeah, Kiwi Bear, her point totally stands up, even though it was a joke. Arting and Kiwi do completely different things. Arting Bear is a painter, which is a whole different animal from drawing or inking. Just completely different. It's like the two art forms, artists who diverge into those paths, they can barely get their heads around the other style, the other form. Oh yeah, you should share if you can share the resources with people who can actually use them. That would be great, I think. So, does anybody know where we are in the story? Starvation for yes, genocide for no, or yes or no. I'm not going to change your mind, Gabriel, about Mannequin Skywalker being awful. He was one of the worst written tragic characters in all of cinema ever. They haven't actually had an interaction. I only just alluded to Donkey Jack being Ozo's friend. You are funny, Gabriel. I like you. I saw this great series on how to fix the prequels, and one of the things that was brought up was Yoda shouldn't be a lightsaber duelist. He should be like just a Force guy who's a pacifist. And he would if he had to go into battle, then he would just use Force powers to protect people, which would make for a much more interesting scene. You're right. The duel on Mustafar is one of the greatest pieces of choreography I've ever seen. Oh, goodbye, Kiwi. Have a wonderful day. So one of the problems I'm running into is crossing streams with other bears. I think, and I was hoping to avoid that by being an evening guy. You know, that doesn't surprise me, Jolly Roger Bear. There's a lot. You know what kind of boggles my mind is a lot of really good characterization in the prequels ended up on the cutting room floor, but the things that were left in the prequels were just irrelevant crap. Was he the Hayden Christensen? Was he the guy who played young Obi-Wan? Yeah, I know. According to the Ghostbusters, sometimes that works though. Just not on these streams, I guess. So should I go earlier or later? Well, Duel of the Fates, wasn't that on Naboo? And wasn't that the mall sequence? Well, it's not like you can't make the Senate interesting. You totally can. You just have to have more intrigue and clandestine stuff and backroom dealing, and you have to show people getting killed because the stakes are high. Like you have a scene where there's a body of a senator, and it's like, oh, this guy was gonna vote the wrong way, so he got killed by the Trade Federation. I mean, you can make it interesting. It doesn't have to be. It does not have to be C-SPAN in space. Oh, are you talking about making the Senate interesting? Yeah, actually, yeah. I did watch. Yeah, there was actually interesting stuff in the Clone Wars. Good point, Jolly Roger Bear. Yeah. Well, they had to. Gabriel, the problem with the Clone Wars is they were complying um, with FCC primetime airing rules for specifically for children. Like, if they could have treated death more seriously in the Clone Wars, um, I think it would have made for a better show. But there's only so much you can get away with on a children's network, right? In a primetime slot. Yeah, it was. They knew they were at the end of their run in the sixth season, so they just decided to take it all the way. If it had been like the sixth season the whole time, it would have been way better. In fact, the characterization that Anakin Skywalker got in that show with terrible animation and really, really annoying static hair. Luke Skywalker had his hand chopped off by his own father and then tried to commit suicide in front of him. Lily dilly dog. You can push that family friendly envelope if you're creative about it. Well, the only thing that Count Dooku did wrong was ally himself with a manipulative asshole called Palpatine. That's another thing that was wrong with the prequels is Count Dooku could have been a much more interesting character. He got he got much better treatment in the silly cartoon show than than the movies, which is annoying because he had great potential. Sort of, kinda. They did sort of kind of make a mockery of Grievous. Like sometimes he was pretty threatening, and sometimes he was just so. Yeah, Grievous. He could have gotten better treatment in the show, but they did kind of need to have that kind of bumbling, incompetent character on the bad side to keep it light enough to keep the kids interested in the show. You're right, Jolly Roger Bear. It is sad that the cartoon was way more interesting than all three of the movies put together. No, but his scenes were good. Grievous had some good scenes in the movies. And the the CGI fight with Obi-Wan, it was pretty good. Well, that's a real pain in the rear end, B West. But the I actually didn't see the cartoon until like a couple years ago while I was unemployed and had very little to do. So I just kind of binged it. Gabriel, I think you're right. More wide shots would have been better, but they were trying to work with that kind of tight angle martial arts stuff. Well, you mean until Disney decided to throw out the entire extended universe with literally hundreds of amazing plot lines to just redo a New Hope with a girl instead of a boy, because that's exactly what we wanted for Star Wars. The same story, except swap out the sex. There's a ton of great lightsaber choreography just on YouTube, which is yeah. After The Force Awakens, it's like I was done with new Star Wars content. Like the old stuff is fine. And they're just going to Disney is trying to pander to everyone at once, which is doomed to failure. Yeah, the Disney did fuck the crystals. Disney fucked everything. Yeah, pandering in and of itself can never last, because eventually the group you're pandering to will catch on and they'll get bored with you. But what's even worse is what Disney's trying to do is pander to all of the loud, sensitive groups at once, and that's just doomed to failure because, well, as we know, none of them like each other. The loud, annoying groups who scream when they're not pandered to. And so you have all these groups that you pandered to, and then they'll start screaming about how you pandered to the group that they don't like. And that's going to just fail. And on top of that, they decided that they didn't care about the decades of lore building and world building that had already been done for them, and they just decided to not only just crap all over all that, but they even ignored the continuity in the movie that they had just produced 2 years earlier. Well, just released 2 years earlier, I should say. They ignored all the continuity that was set up by J.J. Abrams in the mediocre Force Awakens movie that I only liked the first time I watched it. And that's just because it was Star Wars. Yeah, and that's about it. We didn't actually get very much writing done on this hang, dudes. But just always remember that socialism always ends in starvation and genocide. Have a good night, everybody.